And for those of you who are out of the fantasy football playoff mix, there always is daily fantasy, whether you're playing on DraftKings, FanDuel, or anywhere else. George and I are going to give you some inside looks as to who are some of the players that we like this week, and we'll take a look at some daily fantasy wide receivers. So let's get started here, George. And, you know, the price has really risen on a couple of these guys, especially Jamar Chase, who was priced at $8,400 this week. Are you a big fan of paying up at wide receiver this week?
Well, Chase, you almost have to be. He's lighting it up each and every week, and I think they want to. He knows it's money. You know, he wants to chase 2,000 yards, which I guess he's got an outside shot at. I don't think he reads it, but he's got an outside shot at. And Tennessee, have they given up? You know, Levis got an injury. Maybe he's the quarterback. Maybe he's not there. Cincinnati's going to have to bull a lot here. Yeah. I generally don't like the top dollar here, but with Jamar Chase, I'm not going to be afraid to. He is that good.
Nico Collins, as you see there, 8,100 for Houston against Miami. A.J. Brown, 8,000. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7,600. Tyreek Hill up a little bit last week, 7,400. CeeDee Lamb, 7,300. Terry McLaurin, 7,200. All right, now let's go to the tier 2 wide receivers on DraftKings. And George and I talked about this before. I saw a rejuvenated Devontae Adams, George, last week. I watched that game in person there. He was open. He was being targeted a lot more than Wilson was. And by the way, Wilson was targeted a lot too. So I don't know what took Aaron Rodgers 4 months to get it all figured out, but he's priced at $6,900 this week. I would dare say I like him better than a lot of the. I would rather, all things being equal, have Jamar Chase. Okay, I'm not going to play silly here on the show, but I will say that any of those 7,000 priced wide receivers, I'd rather have Adams.
I was there with you. Listen, Jaguars do not have a good secondary. All right, they just don't here. I think Rodgers is going to have a big game again. Wouldn't shock me if they put up, 28, 31 points in this contest. And you're right, Adams is definitely targeted more than Wilson. Wilson gets his targets as well. But Rodgers is just never quite in sync with Wilson. And you mentioned Adams. Great game last week. It's probably his best game as a Jet here. I think that continues this week. So I'm with you here. I don't mind going with Khalil Shakir either, by the way, if you want to save money. I think that game against Detroit is a shootout. We all do. You already mentioned early in the show, right? The highest points, highest over this year, 54.5 here. I think it's going to live up to it. You want to go Zay Flowers against the Giants, another team that looks terrible. All right, Giants, really, their defense isn't awful here, but I think Baltimore's going to score at will in that game. I don't mind that either. You just don't know, is it going to be a Zay game? Is it going to be Mark Andrews? Is it going to be Bateman? Or is it Lamar Jackson going to run the ball all day with Derrick Henry? More choices there.
Now let's go to tier 3 at wide receiver. And again, choices galore here. Jamison Williams at 5,600. Definitely an option to me in play. Rooting for him. Boy, Adam Thielen coming off a couple of really good weeks. 5,400. Also, Brian Thomas Jr., 5,800. Tank Dell, 5,400. Anyone from this tier that you like this week?
I mean, it's hard not to like Ridley, right? Because I think, once again, they're going to be trailing here. My problem is, can Mac Jones get it's not Mac Jones, I'm sorry, whoever's quarterback. I just don't know. The Cincinnati secondary is terrible, right? So he should have opportunities here. I just don't know if I trust the quarterback situation in Tennessee. But Ridley's the first guy I'd look at there. I mean, Thomas is the better receiver here, but it's Mac Jones. I don't know. Jameson Williams, by the way, same thing I just said about Shakir. All right, it's going to be a shootout. Does Jameson get that big play? I think the opportunities will be there, but I also think Detroit's going to try and run the ball a lot. Buffalo has trouble stopping the run here. I think Detroit may feel like that's our way to win the game. Run the ball with Gibbs, run the ball with Montgomery. So although Williams will have his shots, they may not be as many as there would be in other games.
All right, now let's take a look at the running back position in daily fantasy. And the highest priced running back this week, as he has been for weeks, is Saquon Barkley from the Philadelphia Eagles at 8,600. Derrick Henry's 8,300. Devon Achane of Miami, 7,900. Joe Mixon against Miami, 7,800 this week. Everyone loves Jahmyr Gibbs from what I see this week in that matchup against Buffalo. He's 7,500. Chase Brown, who's gotten all the carries for the Bengals lately, 7,200. David Montgomery at 7,000. George?
I just mentioned, everybody likes Detroit because they think that's going to be the game plan. All right, with Gibbs and Montgomery, run that ball. They each score a touchdown every damn week. Right? I'm probably not going to go with Barkley this week at all because Pittsburgh's a good defense here. All right, maybe he doesn't get to the end zone. Didn't get to the end zone last week, and we know him at the 1 yard line. They're doing the tush push. Although, hey, to Sirianni's credit, he gave us fantasy owners a chance. All right, they got close last week. I think Barkley went out at the 1 yard line. He got the next chance and didn't get in. And then they did the tush push and scored. All right, so at least he got a shot. I don't mind Derrick Henry here. It's Giants. I think it changed. I mean, all these guys are good. I'm probably going on this list. I'm probably going with Gibbs. I'm a big on Gibbs as well. I don't mind going Brown either. I don't mind going Montgomery. They're going to score touchdowns. That's what they do. Yep. And you mentioned Joe Mixon's better in the first half than of late here, but I think that game's a shootout as well.
All right, and the second tier of wide receivers, Jonathan Taylor had a hard time cracking 7,000 all season long, still 6,900 this week. James Cook of Buffalo in that matchup that everybody likes this week with Detroit and Buffalo at 6,800. Connor, 6,600. Chuba Hubbard, 6,500. Bijan Robinson, 6,200. Rico Dowdle with a nice game last week at 6,100. And then Isaiah Pacheco at 6,000. Tough. As we're going further down, it's getting tougher.
There are two guys that stand out to me on this list. All right, Hubbard, 6,500. We all know the Cowboys can't stop the run, right? They can't do it. And Carolina's playing much better of late. They look like a quality offense. The best thing that happened to the Panthers might have been that injury to Dalton, right? When they had the car accident, hurt their thumb here. Young looks good, so him sitting out for a while and then coming back in has worked out for them. I think Hubbard has a big game against the Cowboys here. Brian Robinson, who hasn't played in a couple of weeks. Listen, Jake Haener is starting for New Orleans. Washington's going to score a lot of points this game, win this game fairly easily. I think Robinson gets it to the end zone here. And by the way, if you like Rico Dowdle, and I don't mind you if you do, since week 9, only one running back has more rushing yards than Dowdle, and that's Saquon Barkley. Problem is he doesn't get to the end zone all that much. So just keep that in mind here. But I love Hubbard and I love Robinson this week.
All right, now the final tier, someone will break out from here. And look, there's a lot of injuries this week too. Speaking of which, it's kind of really hard to say how healthy Bucky Irving is. So maybe you would pivot to Rachaad White. On DraftKings, he's 5,800 this week. Also at 5,900, Ramondre Stevenson, who's very touchdown dependent. Travis Etienne at 5,600 looked really good going into last week, but all of a sudden Bigsby became the guy there. Nick Chubb, 5,500. George, if you're going to pay up for Barkley, probably going to have to use somebody here.
Yeah, more than likely. And this is kind of an ugly list here. Now, you're right. If Irving's out, everybody and their mother's taking White, right? Over here, any bad reports, he may have a smaller workload here. Other than that, I think the Giants will try and keep the ball on the ground with Tracy at first. So they're trailing by 88 points, and they're going to go away from that. And Najee Harris is probably the guy I want, only because I think this game's going to be a lower scoring game, and I think the over-under is only 43 or somewhere around there. So most people are expecting it low scoring. Both of these teams play slow. They're not looking to get up to the line of scrimmage and snap the football here, and they want to run the ball. So I think Najee Harris would be my choice here, unless I hear bad things about Irving.
Yeah, and the other player, as I mentioned, look, you look at what's going on in Jacksonville right now. Miami had a hard time running the ball against the Jets. Their defense seems to be playing a little bit better. Etienne or Bigsby, a couple of players, George, that we did not talk about here on the show. What is going on in some of the other different locations? Would you play a Sincere McCormick? Is that a good matchup this week? He's below 5,000. He's one of the better players that's at least showing signs of life. George, I do think you could probably scrub out somebody at 4,000, 5,000. Aaron Jones, another name that we didn't talk about too.
Aaron Jones, a little bit more interesting, but I kind of like McCormick. All right, Atlanta's not a good defense, and you mentioned you're going to save a ton of money against them, and he's going to get 15 to 18 touches. I truly believe he'll get 15 to 18 touches. If he sneaks into the end zone here, we're talking 15 to 18 points. So I would I would rather have McCormick than Harris. So yeah, I would go that direction. I think there are lower end running backs, and they'll allow you to get it for a higher paying wide receiver or a better running back as far as your first and second running backs. Taking with someone like McCormick could work out for you. I would do that.
All right. Hardest task in daily fantasy is finding the tight end to hit. We're going to see if we can do that for you next. Don't go away.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are one-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. If he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Well, good luck to all of us here trying to find a tight end on the main slate in fantasy. Let's go through some of the DFS pricing here. It ain't easy. It never is easy with a tight end, George. But Travis Kelce, 5,700 for Kansas City. I mean, you could make the case that Jonnu Smith is the most reliable touchdown scorer in fantasy football right now. I mean, I think that we'll go through the whole list. But I think this is my pick, 5,400. Dalton Kincaid, 4,900. Otten, 4,500. Laporta, 4,400. Hunter Henry, 4,300. Where's McBride on this list? What am I missing here? Is he not on the main slate?
He's on 6,000.
Got it. Okay, 6,000. So we don't have him, but I would say that Jonnu Smith to me at the 5,400 level is the best value.
Yeah, he's the first. I think if you want a definite, that's where you're going with it. You're going to have to pay up for Jonnu Smith. I agree. I'm probably not paying up for Kelce, although there are some people who like him this week because I think he can set a touchdown record, and he's from Cleveland. So, there's some, once you try to make correlation there. You want to go for McBride, I don't mind it at 6,000. He's going to catch a ton of passes. We've seen that. After that, it becomes more, well, do you want to take your chances? Laporta at 4,400 in a game we think is going to be a shootout, but he's been extremely touchdown dependent. So the anti-McBride. He's not catching any passes, but he's catching touchdowns. Do you want to go that direction here? Which I can sort of see. Mark Andrews, 4,100 against the Giants. I think the Ravens are scoring 4 touchdowns in this game. Maybe Andrews gets one of them. Lord knows Jackson's looking for him in the end zone, right? Lamar is looking for him in the end zone, so I can see it going that direction. Pat Fryer moved 3,900, but there's not going to be many scores in that game. So I think if you're looking for a safe choice, who's going to score you points here, yeah, I agree. Jonnu Smith at 5,400.
All right, now let's move over to the back-end tight ends, as they say. Mark Andrews, this is probably a few weeks ago. I would have said George's biggest mistake was Mark Andrews, but he actually came on toward the end of the year to have a respectable season. 4,100, Zach Ertz, 4,000, yuck. Farmuth, 3,900, yuck. Ferguson, 3,800. I won't even use yuck for him. Likely, Gesicki. You gotta pay up for one of the better guys here. I mean, this is literally a possible zero from the last 4 guys that I see here.
Zach Ertz. Once again, I am not saying to start Ertz. I'm going to pay up for somebody, but Zach Ertz again. New Orleans is going to be terrible. Washington's going to destroy the New Orleans on Sunday. All right. If you don't want to pay up for a tight end for whatever reason, I gotta save my money here. I think Ertz is a good low end play. I would rather go 4,100 at Andrews. All right, but if you need to save that $200 too, I don't think Ertz is awful here. I don't. So I think it's somebody you can look at. It's $100, not $200, by the way. The other guys I want nothing to do with here. But, yeah, I think you can look at Ertz here. But like I said, I would rather start Jonnu Smith.
All right, let's take a look at the quarterbacks. Let's go from tight end to quarterbacks this week over on DraftKings. And no surprise, two top guys, highest price. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, 8,500, 8,300 respectfully. Jalen Hurts is 8,000. Jaden Daniels coming off the bye week. George, I know, likes that matchup. I guess that's where you're going here. 7,500. Mahomes, 6,700. I think folks are saying, wait a second, why is Jared Goff above Mayfield and Nix and Stroud and Tua and some of these others? Well, it's the game against the Bills. That's why.
I also think, once again, for Detroit Buffalo, I think Detroit's going to run the ball a lot. So you got to hope that Goff, they're running the ball inside the red zone. They throw touchdowns here. I don't think he's going to throw the ball 35, 40 times. That's what you're looking for here. Listen, if you don't want to pay up for the big trio, and I think all three of them are going to have big games. Maybe not Hurts so much because Pittsburgh is a good defense here, so keep that in mind. I wouldn't go Hurts. Yeah, I want Daniels. I do. But I am also worried that Washington, this is a blowout by halftime. It's 24-3 at half, and second half they're not running the ball, or they're not running with Daniels anymore, and he doesn't have to throw the ball, and it becomes a big McNichols game because they protect Brian Robinson as well. So there is somewhat worry there. Joe Burrow, I mean, if you're going to price him that low, I know it's on the road, unless the weather is awful in Tennessee. 73. I mean, he's fifth. He's Allen, Jackson, Hurts, Daniels, Burrow. He's fifth. I think that's kind of crazy here for a guy he's going to throw for 280 and 3 at least. At least he throws that. Come on, he does that in his sleep nowadays. So hard for me not to take Joe Burrow at 7,300.
Yeah, Burrow's had a fantastic year. All right, second tier here, and number of different directions you can go. We got Baker at 6,400, Bo Nix 6,300, Stroud 6,200 in that matchup against Tua. Tua's finally cracked the 6,000 mark at 6,100. Kyler Murray, 6,000. Anthony Richardson, no thanks, 5,800 there. So if you ended up spending up for a lot of the other skill positions, which quarterback would you take here?
Oh, God help me. I think I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. He's not even on the list. He's cheaper than this. I think I'm going Aaron Rodgers at 5,400. I said Jacksonville has no pass defense at all here. We like the way Adams has played here. You got Wilson here. The running game, even without Hall, is usable here. And I just think the Jets are going to have a ton of time with the football here. I think even their defense, as poor as it's played since Saleh left or was fired, will get off the field here. I think Rodgers is going to have another big game. Finally threw for over 300 yards last week. I think he does it again this week. So, the fantasy guards are going to need help here, but I'm going with Aaron Rodgers as my second quarterback.
Yeah, Rodgers looked really good. The Jets, George, looked really good. Yeah, I watch football. I mean, how many weeks have we had? Have we had 14 weeks or 15? We've had 15. I think, because I go through this with my producer on Newswire, Frank, because after Sunday ends, we usually discuss, did you watch all the games? Now, George, I'm going to guess out of the 15 weeks, you watched all 15 weeks. Is that right? Did you miss any weeks of football this season? At all?
Oh, God, no.
I think I missed one or two. I did. I think I missed one or two. So I missed one because my son was playing in travel ball, and we had a 9 a.m. game, a 1 p.m. game, and like a 4 p.m. game to win the championship. So I missed all of football that day. Now, I followed on my phone. It's not the same. And then, honestly, the only other time, George, that I missed football this year was last week. That's it. Last week, because I went to the game. When you go to an NFL game, you're missing the week of football. That's just all there is to it. 1 p.m. start, and I was texting you guys, overtime. What time do you think I'm getting home from an overtime game? 1 p.m. start. 6? 5:30? Yeah, I mean, Sam knows. So I missed literally like the whole week last week. Now, they're showing highlights on the board, but it ain't the same. So that's it. The whole season, 2 weeks. All right, we'll take a look at the NFC coming up next. See who's going to end up winning this thing. I think we'll have a pretty clear picture after this week. Don't go away.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports today here on SportsGrid. Lions-Bills this week. It's the AFC versus NFC. So this doesn't really apply to who will be the number one seed, but they need to win every game. I think Detroit does, because it looks like that was the scare that Philadelphia got last week, George, against Carolina. They've been rolling with the exception of last week. The number one seed in the NFC runs through Detroit right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Detroit is minus 350. So you see how the odds have significantly changed. If I'm not mistaken, I thought that these were Detroit minus 180 and Philly, plus 200 last week. So these have changed a lot, and I guess it's just coming. There's just not a lot of time left to play. Basically, Minnesota's plus 850. It's not going to be them, right?
I don't think they're as good a team as Philadelphia or Detroit, but their schedule is very friendly. I mean, that's why you're looking at this, right? But I think Minnesota does play Detroit again, so it really could come down to that, Craig, because, hey, Detroit could lose Sunday, right? Buffalo's a really good team. Probably, who's Minnesota losing to? All right, you play Chicago, should be a win. You're at Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit. So it's really that little trio there, and two of those three are on the road. All right, you're playing Detroit in Detroit, Seattle in Seattle, Green Bay's in Minnesota. So I don't think they win it. No, I said I don't think they're as good a team as Detroit, but they've got a shot. And then you look at Philadelphia. They play Detroit they play Pittsburgh this week. Great games at 4:00. But after that, who are they losing to? All right, do they lose another game? They play Washington. I don't think Dallas, Giants. So they play the NFC East. If they win this week, I think they win out as well. So if Detroit slips up, then it comes down to tiebreakers. And by the way, the tiebreaker would probably go down to common opponents. I'm not figuring that out for you. So it would be pretty wild here. So it behooves Detroit. Obviously, it behooves you to keep winning. All right, that's a stupid statement. They have to keep winning. But if they slip up, man, Minnesota could catch them. I don't think so. But Philadelphia is the team to watch out for, assuming that A.J. Brown doesn't implode everything.
Now, to win the championship is a lot different than to get the number one seed, as we'll see here over on FanDuel, because Detroit's plus 145, but they're going to include other teams here because it's the NFL, and you never know. Like, who's to say Tampa Bay doesn't win a few games and end up getting to the NFC Championship? Or my Washington Commanders, who are there at 18-1. I'm still picking them, by the way, to go to the NFC Championship. Call me crazy, but I'm not getting off that. But George, Detroit's just such a heavy favorite at this point.
I'll gladly call you crazy. Washington's not getting there. Sorry. They are making the playoffs, however, and I didn't have that coming into the season either. I think, listen, It's the same thing. It's Philadelphia for me. I think they're the best overall team here. I do worry about the internal combustion that's going on here. It's not good. And last year we saw the same thing last year, and it blew up in their faces. So maybe it happens again here. But if they get home field, who's traveling to Philadelphia in January and beating them? I don't think it's Detroit, and I don't think it's I don't think it's Minnesota. Green Bay might be the best team because they play outdoors as well, but I don't think they're as good a team as Philadelphia. So I still think if you're going to place a little wager, I think it's the Eagles. And I hate to say that. Lord knows, as a Cowboy fan here, but fly, Eagles, fly. We may be hearing that for quite a while.
So the Super Bowl, they do not even have my Washington Commanders on the board here. That's very disappointing. They're more than 40-1. They're behind the Rams. The Rams aren't even in the playoffs. Something's wrong, Sam. You screwed this up. Come on, be honest. They got to be 30-something. 55-1? Bet it now. Bet the house. No, I'm just kidding.
My wife be upset about that.
Who do I like? Show me that board again. I'm going to tell you who I like. I like Buffalo plus 650. What about you?
Oh, I think you're right. If you want to take a team
I'm not going to be right.
there,
There's no way that's going to be right, but you think I could be right. That's fine.
I think you could be right. I mean, I don't think it's Kansas City, but then again, I said the same thing last year at this time. I don't think it's Baltimore.
Kansas City. They're so boring.
Yeah, I think Buffalo at 650 is correct. Listen, I mean, I think it's going to be Buffalo versus Philadelphia. That's who I think is going to meet right now. Am I going to be right? No. We know in February it'll be, I don't know, it'll be Baltimore versus Green Bay. It'll be something crazy like that. But like I said, I just think Buffalo's the best team here. Josh Allen's playing great, but there'll be injuries that happen that take one of these teams out of it or really puts them behind the 8 ball here. But I like Buffalo versus Philadelphia right now.
All right, fair enough. I like Washington versus Buffalo. Yeah, do you think Washington? You don't think they're going to win a play? Where was Seattle? Do we even talk about Seattle? Seattle may win the division. They get no love at all, huh? Nothing.
They don't get a lot of love though, and they might win the division.
The Rams already. Wait a second. This doesn't make sense. The Rams aren't even winning the division, and they have better odds to win the Super Bowl than Seattle. Are they really? But they're behind Seattle.
Seattle's losing to Green Bay.
All right.
Maybe.
I'll have what they're having.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill. Then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports today. What an interesting week it has been for me. A lot of sickness running around here in my house. Sort of derailed a lot of my thinking. Maybe that's why I picked the Washington Commanders to go to the Super Bowl. Let's review their game this week. They play the New Orleans Saints. This was I think this is George's bet of the week, it sounds like here. George usually, likes a +3 or a -3 or something like that. But my gosh, like George, it sounds like you're all in on Washington crushing New Orleans. The other one that everyone likes seems to be going against the Raiders. I'm always careful of the Raiders. Like I feel like that's the kind of team that once every 3 or 4 weeks you're like, they're going to lose by 30 and then they win. So I stay away from them because I think that they're like skittish to me. But I am kind of with you here on this one. I saw that kid play for New Orleans a few weeks ago, Hayner or whatever his name is. This poor guy. And remember, they pivoted away from him so quick. Remember, like after he was the backup, they immediately like, no, he's not going to play anymore. So yeah, it's tank season, I guess, right?
Well, you're right, by the way. I'll be big on Washington this week. Money line, straight up. I don't care. Take me to the spread here, put in teasers here. And I'm probably going to have a hard time taking Kamara this week because I think Washington, listen, we're loading up the box, stop Kamara. We're going to force Hayner to throw the ball to whoever. There's no Olave, there's nothing there. There's just nothing there. I think this is an ass kicking. Yeah, I do. Washington's coming off a bye as well. So I think they want to get back in the groove also. My only worry would be, like I said earlier, as far as DFS is concerned, I do wonder if this game gets so out of hand that in the second half, McLaurin, Daniels, Robinson, they may all be playing, but sparingly. Just sparingly here. You don't get the numbers you quite want here. So that's my only worry in this game. But I think this is a good old-fashioned butt kicking by the Commanders.
Yeah, well, last game Washington played, I think they were also up a lot and still playing toward the end of the game, but we are getting more toward the playoffs here. And yeah, this is just one of those games. It's just a horrible matchup for the Saints, losing their quarterback of Washington off a bye. All right, Bengals and Titans. Everyone's riding Cincinnati very high right now after the way that they played this past week. Their offense is definitely clicking. Tennessee loses to Jacksonville at home. So this is the easiest play all your Bengals game of the season. What are you doing with the Titans, George, right now? Even Pollard, I think, has to be somewhat in question. Not a lot of Titans to play in fantasy this week.
He's also questionable to play in the game, so let's keep an eye on that. He's got an ankle injury there, so keep. Maybe I don't know if you're healthy enough to sit Pollard, So I think he goes here, but how good he'll be, that I can't tell you there. But he's not someone I'm dying to play, even against the Bengals, who have no defense here. We saw Dallas go off against them last week, right, for the Cowboys. So I do want to start him if I think he's healthy enough to go. I said Ridley probably has to go as well for me here. I don't love it. But it is the Bengals here. You're going to get opportunities. That secondary is poor.
Yeah, Westbrook-Ikhine was one of the most popular hot plays last week. He did absolutely nothing because he scored, I think, 3 weeks in a row. All right, so George, are you back on the Dolphins bandwagon? The Dolphins have now, they beat Houston. All of a sudden, they're really back in the playoff mix. They have to have this game. Houston hasn't played well, but bad spot for Miami. Emotional win, overtime win. Now they have to go on the road. Houston's off a bye week. Joe Mixon is a starter. Collins is a starter, without a doubt. On Miami's side, you can start Waddle and Hill again as long as Tua's there, Devon A-Chain, and Jonnu Smith, right? Maybe he's the easiest must-start of all.
I think this is a sneaky, high-scoring game. No one's really talking about it here, right? We're all talking Detroit-Buffalo, 54.5. I think this game's going to be another one that's going to be, 31-28, somewhere around there. So, yes, all you guys go. Tua, Chain, Hill, Waddle, Jonnu Smith, Collins, Mixon. Can they even sneak it? No, not Schultz here, but maybe a little Tank Dell in this game as well here can go for you. Or maybe you want to go Mechie. Once again, I think they're all usable here, including C.J. Stroud. I think he'll be a top 12 quarterback as well.
Now, the Chiefs and Browns has the setup of the snoozer of the week. I believe the Browns are 3.5 or 4.5 point underdogs. I see everybody taking the Browns. The Chiefs keep winning, and they don't cover any spreads. For Kansas City at this point, it's no fun whatsoever. Very hard to start any of their guys in fantasy, even they're going to win. I think that the shine is off Winston, but the brightest shining player, George, in this game, unequivocally, is Jerry Jeudy, right? Jerry Jeudy has become a superstar with Winston at quarterback.
He has. There's no argument there. He's been great. Njoku, now unlikely to play this week, so you're not starting him. Once again, more problems at tight end. Judy's going for him here. Winston, you could think about him as long as you don't get -2 for an interception. All right, then you can't. All right, even -1, I'm probably not going to go with him here, but you could think about him. He's fun. right? He's fun. I mentioned Mahomes has snuck into the top 10. He's not having big weeks, but he's having safe weeks for you if that's what you're looking for. You go Mahomes. Pacheco's likely going for me here. That's probably it. DeAndre Hopkins, without buys, it's DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm still thinking about whether or not I want to start him. I sort of lean yes here. I think he does get to the end zone, but I'm not dying to put him in here. And I got to tell you, watching the Cowboys, remember how the Cowboys lost on Monday night, where they blocked the punt and then ended up costing the game? First thing I thought of, wow, this is how the Chiefs would win a game, right? They win every other way. How is that not the Chiefs the Cowboys were playing Monday night?
Yeah, would agree. Maybe this is the sneaky high-scoring game of the week, too. Bryce Young playing well, Cooper Rush playing okay. Like, maybe Dallas, Carolina ends up 27-24. I don't know. I kind of feel better, not about either of these teams, but I kind of feel better about the offenses. Adam Thielen has come to life now late in the season. I do think, George, that there's going to be some opportunities to play some players in this game.
But who are you playing outside the norm? You're playing CeeDee Lamb. You might be going Rico Dowdle. I imagine since week 9, he's the number 2 leading rusher in the NFL behind Saquon Barkley, but he's not getting touchdowns. And, I think Dallas get to the low 20s. Cooper Rush wasn't good Monday night, by the way. He actually played kind of poorly. But, it is what it is. You're not starting Bryce Young. Hubbard goes. He's definitely a running back 1 for me. Thielen, Leggett. Dallas can rush the passer. They'll put pressure on Bryce Young. It isn't Carolina that helps here. It's sort of which one's getting into the end zone. Maybe they both score, but I'd go at 1 here. I probably lean more towards Thielen, but I don't love it.
All right, now let's take a look at the Jets and Jaguars this week. George talked earlier in the show. It's an all-hands-on-deck Jets game for George, but for the Jaguars, those 2 running backs are probably having to be started in a lot of leagues. Beyond that, it is really thin. So we got Rodgers, as you mentioned. We got Devontae Adams. We got Wilson. And would you start in a running back situation? Would you start Isaiah Davis or Braylon Allen?
I'd rather not. I would hope I can do better on my roster which I think Allen's going to be the goal line guy. Isaiah Davis may get more touches in this game, but I don't really trust either one of them. This is a passing game for the Jets. I do like Rodgers. I do like Wilson. I like Adams. I mentioned Conklin earlier, but you should be able to do better. Maybe you can't, but he'll be touchdown dependent here. For the Jaguars, you mentioned the running backs, and I agree. You probably have to go at 1, if not both. After that, that's even Brian Thomas. I'm about done.
Ravens and Giants, one of the biggest spreads in the National Football League in a couple of years, almost 3 touchdowns. Ravens at the Giants. If you dare play any Giants, you got to make sure that they're healthy, and absolutely playing everybody on Baltimore. The risk is, George, like you said, they go up big. That's a team that has playoff aspirations and may sit some guys if it gets out of hand.
Still, you're starting Lamar, you're starting Derrick Henry, you're starting Zay, and you're probably starting Andrews, right? There's some debate earlier, but now it's pretty much you're starting Andrews here. For the Giants, I'm not starting Neighbors. Like with DeVito at quarterback, he's banged up, so maybe he doesn't play the entire game here. Tyrone Tracy, once again, running back, I probably have to.
And then finally, let's take a look at one more game, Colts and Broncos. We could keep this quick. Bo Nix has been a starter all season long, depending on the league. Same thing with Anthony Richardson. Running back situation in Denver, pretty bad. Jonathan Taylor, yes, fire him up. Cortland Sutton's been good with Bo Nix. Anyone else?
Be careful with Taylor. He's not putting up good fantasy numbers at all. Anthony Richardson is playing better. Pittman, not really thrilled about. And you mentioned the guys on Denver. I don't want to start the running backs here, but Sutton goes here. And Bo Nix, he's fun. Once again, he's fun. He's athletic. He'll put up points with his legs as well here. He can sneak into that top 12 in a nice matchup.
All right, we'll take a quick timeout. We will continue our previews of every game in the National Football League and then do a little buy or sell. You're watching Fantasy Sports Today. And we'll be back right after this quick timeout here on the show. Don't go anywhere.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a challenge. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set, to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today on SportsGrid. Boy, we're running short on time on this show, so we got to get right to it with the rest of our previews. Let's talk about the Buccaneers and Chargers this week. It looks like Justin Herbert could potentially play in this game, depending on health. The Buccaneers, well, they've been hot, George. Do they continue the streak this week? Got to keep an eye on the running back situation there naturally. Baker Mayfield's been a star for the Bucs all season.
He's been absolutely fantastic, right? And I expect that to somewhat continue this week. Now, you are going to be careful here. Chargers do have a decent defense. I think you said earlier in the show, it's not playing as well now as it was in the beginning of the season here. I think Mayfield will be okay here. Irving, listen, he plays for Tampa Bay. He's playing for me. It's that simple. Keep in mind, K-Dot in the tight end, he has not been as good with Evans in the lineup, which makes sense. Hey, you got Evans in the lineup. He's getting the targets, not Otten here. For the Chargers, yeah, you play a little guessing game with the at the running back, right? No Dobbins here. Gus Edwards, you're going to hear him to fall into the end zone there. I kind of like Vidal. No Disley this week. Maybe McConkey plays here. If he does, yeah, I want to start him, Greg. But if not, you know, I'm not going to go to anybody else. I'm not going to Josh Palmer here and see what he can do. Quentin Johnson, maybe he catches the ball this week. Maybe he doesn't. I'll pass.
The Battle of Pennsylvania. I mean, the Steelers have actually been scoring points lately, but George Pickens doesn't look like he's going to play this week, and the Steelers are much better when he's on the field. Meanwhile, the Eagles are pretty cut and dry. You're playing Barkley, you're playing Hurts, you're playing A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. I mean, it's hard to imagine you have three better options than him, but I guess it's possible. But the Pittsburgh situation is a little bit of a monkey wrench into our thoughts this week, George.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think this is going to be one of those 21-20 games, somewhere around there, 21-17. These two teams are both slow teams. I mean, neither one rushes up to get there to a line of scrimmage to get us to snap the ball. They take their time, so you don't get as many plays here. That being said, yeah, you want to start Russell Wilson, fine, but I don't expect a big game from him. Pickens is out, so we know we're not getting him. You know, Najee Harris, running back 2. You know, you probably have to go there. I don't mind Frymuth as a low-end tight end 1, but that's what he is. He's going to be in that 9-14 range. Probably at the end of the week, maybe he falls to the end zone as well. There's no one else in the passing game I want now that Pickens is out. I think A.J. Brown is going to have a decent week. If it was against a team with a lesser defense, I think he'd go off this week. Once again, squeaky wheel, right? I think somebody Sirianni knows I got to keep this guy happy. I can't even have him blowing up this team. So Hurts goes here, Barkley goes, A.J. Brown goes. Devonta Smith, I don't know. Since I think A.J. Brown's going to have such a big weekend against a good defense, I don't think Devonta Smith does all that much this week. That being said, you may have to start him. Cal Satera, the tight end, probably not.
All right, so the Lions rarely play at 4 o'clock Eastern on a Sunday. It seems like they have been destined for 1 o'clock or primetime games, but this is the game of the week in the NFL. They've moved it to 4 p.m. Bills and Lions. Normally, I would want to spend a lot of time on this game, but it's the easiest on the board. Play everyone on both teams. Defenses, offenses, kickers, everyone. Highest total of the year.
Yeah, once again, and this is one of those games where if you have a Buffalo Bill or Detroit Lion on your team, you're not starting them. Boy, makes you wonder what else you have here. You're starting Allen, you're starting Cook. Keon Coleman does not have an injury designation, so you're free to start him. Might think about that. Shakir goes for me. Kincaid's questionable, so we got to keep an eye on that. Detroit, now all your normal guys are going here, and I do want to start Jameson Williams here. Tim Patrick made me so mad last week. For the love of God, can we throw the ball to Amon St. Brown here?
Would you start Tim Patrick?
I think you have to think about it. They are looking at his way here. I think you have to think about it. I think he's flex consideration. I do. So, yes, I think you can start Tim Patrick. Tim Brown will be probably not Tim Brown.
All right, Packers, Seahawks, Green Bay, the wide receiver situation. George and I talk about it every week. We have no idea who's going to play. We know you play Jacobs, you play Love. And for Seattle, George, real quick, the running back designation for Walker is still iffy for the week. But I guess the coach said that Walker could play this week. He was not as optimistic last week. Charbonnet was fantastic.
I think you heard that Walker's out, by the way. He's not going to play this week, so we're not starting Walker. Charbonnet's the guy you want there. Listen, DK Metcalf has not done much since coming back from the injury, 3-4 weeks ago. He's iffy to me, but I'm probably going to have to. JSN's the guy I want to go with here. No Jair Alexander for Green Bay either, by the way. He's out, their top cornerback, so that makes JSN a little bit more palatable. Like I said, I'm probably going to play DK Metcalf. And you're right about the wide receivers of Green Bay. Good luck. All right, good luck to you. I'm done. Jaden Reed, a big donut last week. Tucker Kraft, by the way, could be a sneaky tight end play for you.
Yeah, catches touchdown almost every week. Feels like it. All right, time to play a little buy or sell. All right, buy or sell. This statement, George, will start off here. Brock Purdy will be the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers next season. Buy or sell?
Yeah, we sort of heard this, that maybe they could trade him to keep some of their other guys so they wouldn't have to move on from Debo, wouldn't have to move on from somebody else here. I'm going to buy. I think he's going to be the starting quarterback next year. What are they going to do? Are they going to really hope that they hit on a quarterback again? I mean, they're not going to draft high enough in round one to get one, unless they want to play with Trey Lance game again and trade up for a quarterback, which I don't see them doing here. No, I'm buying. He'll be the quarterback next year.
Yeah, tough finish for Purdy, but great start and had such a good year last year. I don't think you take that away from him. Will they have somebody else for competition? If something goes wrong, yeah, maybe so. But he will be the starter going into next year. I'll buy as well. All right, let's go to the Jets and go to their wide receivers. This is pretty open-ended. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the Jets. We also don't know, by the way, if Devontae Adams is going to be back with the Jets next season. I'm not sure about that either. Buy or sell. Garrett Wilson will be a top 20 pick next season. So that is basically first or early second round.
I'm going to say the only way that Devontae Adams is back with the Jets next season is if Aaron Rodgers is back. And Aaron Rodgers is back next year. So, no, Adams is gone too. He's a top 20 talent, all right, but I think they're starting a rookie quarterback, which is going to – there's so many good wide receivers. He should be, but he won't be. Right, he'll be a third, fourth round pick here because of who the quarterback is going to be. It's going to be a rookie, or maybe Kirk Cousins. Who knows what's going on here? If it's Kirk Cousins, he might be a top 20 pick. But assuming it's a rookie here, no, he is a sell. He won't be a top 20 pick next year.
Yeah, it could be Shedeur Sanders. He could be good. I'll buy that. I don't know. I don't see why not. If Devontae Adams is not there, and he is, with one of the two best quarterbacks in the country, if they end up getting him, I think I would buy that. We'll take a quick time out and come back with more fantasy sports today here on SportsGrid. Don't forget, Sunday morning, Joe Pisapia, Matt Stryker, leading you up until Pro Football Today, exclusively here on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
the sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. We've got the SportsGrid 60 coming up. But first, real quick note here. Funny that our producer Sam found this from Pro Football Reference, the most viewed player pages in the country by state. I know for some of you watching on a smaller screen, you may not be able to see that, but the red basically is Patrick Mahomes. The blue is Lamar Jackson. This is not voting, but this is the player pages in football. But George, what really stuck out to me is the fact that, yes, I mean, Mahomes is there and Jackson. Those are the two most. Why are people still checking out Tom Brady's page up in the Northeast? And why is Drew Brees the most clicked page in Louisiana? I mean, I understand why, because that's where they played. But are they not able to move on, George? Is it like, are they thinking Brady's coming back or Brees is coming back? A little weird for me.
Well, if you look at this, most of the players are quarterbacks. All right, they're almost all. I see Derrick Henry's somebody here. I can't see another player that's not a quarterback. So I guess Drew Brees, Louisiana makes sense. How is Justin Fields, right, the number one guy in? Oh boy, I'm going to say Indiana.
Illinois?
Damn, I was close.
I didn't even see that one. That slipped by me.
All right, that's Chicago. Okay, so I guess I can understand that. Tom Brady was at Maine up there, so I guess okay.
I have a feeling
Maine
George
loves
is
their
not very good with
Patriots.
geography. I don't know. Just something is.
It's not Maine.
Do you know where Florida is, George? It's the one
I
at the
do. That's
bottom.
Lamar Jackson. I can see it.
No,
there.
but do you know the state?
I like Florida.
Okay. California's
just
over
hurts.
here.
Like you know everyone.
No, but did you know that did you know that was Tennessee, where Derrick Henry was? Be honest.
Yeah, I know what Tennessee looks like. I think I would have got that. I think Kentucky's right above it, right?
I don't think
West
so, man.
Virginia to the right, right? I think I'd have been okay there.
George hasn't
Listen,
left the Northeast corridor in like 46 years.
So. Yeah, that's about right. Went to Vegas about 5-6 years ago, so that's about right.
Where's Vegas? Where's Nevada?
Oh, that one. Ooh. Pat Mahomes. I know it's Pat Mahomes.
Ooh,
I think
that's
he's
a
the one
tough
right
one.
next to California, by the way.
George did not take geography.
The little
in school.
trapezoid. The little trapezoid next to California, to the right.
Justin Fields. What is that? New Mexico? New Mexico? Oh.
I was one state off.
The point of this exercise was not to throw George under the bus, but we have achieved it somehow. We're definitely doing a George knows geography next year here on the show. We're doing that.
Oh, God.
All right. We have to go to the SportsGrid 60. George has something to complain about, so here it is.
All right, so what's bothering me this week? All right, the Mets signed Soto. He isn't. That's why I thought he'd go all along here. So I'm not really all that upset about it. What's driving me crazy is that I love, well, it's annoying that fans, they're all trying to figure out who to blame here. You know, why did he sign there? Was it because Starman didn't offer enough money? If it's $750 million, what do you want him to do? All right, was it because, his father got kicked out of a certain area of Yankee Stadium by security, and his driver too? Really? That's why? Or the luxury box? He didn't get one, really? He went for the most money, okay? And he says, none of his teammates texted him during free agency. What is this, draft day? Did no one go to his birthday party? Are you kidding me here? He went for the most money. Good for him. It's his right, to do that. The Mets offered him more money, $5 million more per year. It'll be more than that at the 5 years when that extra $4 million kicks in per year. So it is what it is. I'll miss Juan Soto. I enjoyed watching him play. I did as a fan. As an analyst, it might be better for the Yankees not to give him that whopper of a contract, because I've been saying it all week long. I have a funny feeling, Craig, that if Steinbrenner would have done that, he would have been like, that's it. The offseason's done. You got Soto. Leave me alone. He's not like his father, George, who would have kept signing people here. So, Yankee fans, I relax. All right, Soto was great, but you might be better off without him.
You made the fantasy football playoffs. You're watching this show. You're asking yourself, am I going to win or lose this week? It's very tense. I've kind of calmed down through the years about fantasy sports, especially fantasy football, knowing it's a lot of luck. I know what's going to be this week. It's going to be intense. You're going to be watching the games, but just know this. You made the playoffs. You had a good season. It is luck throughout the season, and it is really lucky from here on out. I mean, some of the top players in the game aren't even playing for the team that got you there this week. But good luck to all of you playing in your fantasy football playoffs, semifinals, hopefully not championships. Hopefully that's to come soon. That'll do it for the show. Thanks for Sam producing. George, have a good weekend. I will see you next week, correct? You know how to get here?
You will see me next week.
Have you looked at a map? How to get here?
I'll study my maps. I'm studying maps. What are we doing? Europe? I'll study Europe.
Tennessee!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.